Oh, okay.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Logan and Jennifer from Lumberjack Tools, and today we are going to show you how to build a log end table using our tenon cutters.
Yeah, so just to show you an example, we're going to copy the leg structure that we use for, this is an end table. This slab of wood is a giant piece of white pine, and this is a table that we'd use at trade shows. So we're going to recreate the leg frame for this today and show you how that works. So to start, we are using commercial series tools today. This is what we're going to use to cut the tenons. We also offer a higher grade industrial series tool, but these will both perform the same as far as tenon cutting. The advantage to the industrial is it has a slot to cut specific tenon lengths, but I'm going to show you a trick today that will get the same tenon lengths with this commercial series. And this isn't the exact same, but our log piece plan booklets, there is a project to make an end table, and it's slightly different from the one we're going to make today, but it's roughly the same.
And we will be giving away one of our commercial series beginners kits, which includes the 1.5 inch tenon cutter, the Forstner bit, and then one of these plan booklets. So if you're watching, please be sure to comment below where you're from, and you will be entered to win. We'll draw at the end of this. So it's really a great tool. It's one of our most popular sellers.
Yeah, so to start, I'm going to make the 4 legs. So we're going to have to cut the tenons, and these tenons are 2-inch diameter. So we're going to cut a 2-inch tenon. You can see that tape, and then it's going to roughly be 2 inches long, if that lines up. So I'll show you how we're going to cut that, and then we'll drill the mortise holes at the bottom as well.
For everyone just jumping on, again, we are giving away a commercial beginners kit, and that includes the 1.5 inch commercial tenon cutter, the Forstner bit, and our 20-piece plan booklet. And we're also going to be building a log end table today. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. To enter to win this kit, make sure you're commenting where you're from. Otherwise, additional comments too or questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Yeah,
So Logan is using our log lock, which clamps the log down. And the nice thing about the log lock is it's specifically designed to not leave any clamp marks. Yep. So that's especially nice when you're building log furniture for yourself or to sell, because you don't have to worry about having some of those like jaw marks on there, basically.
Yeah, and this is our small log lock. It handles up to 4.5 inch material, and this piece of pine that I have in right now is approximately 4.25, so we're nearing the limit, but it'll still hold this log no problem.
And we do have a larger log lock as well that will hold anything from 2.5 to 8-inch logs.
Yep. Yeah.
So since Logan needs to cut a 2-inch tenon, he's using our 2-inch tenon cutter. So when the tenon cutters say 2-inch, 1.5, 1 inch, it's referring to the tenon diameter once it is cut, not the log capacity.
Correct. And as I mentioned earlier, this tool normally it cuts a 2.9 inch tenon length on its own, and since we don't have the slots to use the quick stop pins, I went ahead of time before we filmed here and I made a plug, and I'm going to actually put this plug into the bottom of this tenon cutter, and that way when I cut these tenons it's going to be the length that I require.
Mark, the log lock is on sale right now. It's normally $149 for the small, but it's on sale for $79. The larger is normally $199, and that is on sale for $99. And the drill that Logan is using here is a Milwaukee 1660-6. You need to make sure that you have a good drill to run these tools. If you can stop the drill at any time while you're leaning into the tool while cutting, it means that the drill does not have enough power. So you're looking for a single speed 1/2 inch drill, preferably with a pipe handle.
Yeah, that way just the handle really helps it to stabilize it. Otherwise it gets a little tricky. And it has been done with cordless drills, but we strongly recommend the way we design these. It's 4 corded single speed slow revolution RPM drill. The faster it spins, the more likely you'll damage your tool. So we're gonna begin our cut here. I have the plug installed, so the tenon's gonna stop at the length we require.
And make sure that you don't start cutting until you're up against that log.
Yep, don't be away from it. Always start against it, and make sure that you're level so you don't cut a crooked tenon. And here we go. As you can see, that even with a powerful drill like this, it was still pretty hard for it, but that's our finished product.
Craig, we do recommend a whole hog. And then someone asked, Caitlin asked, how do you make sure that you stay square on it?
So in order to do that, Caitlin, a lot of people will actually purchase a bubble level and put it on their drill, so that way when you line up you can use your bubble level to make sure. Me personally, I look at it from both directions. I look at it from the side and from top down, and that's how I center.
Mark, it is actually a single speed drill. We do not recommend a variable speed. Typically they do not have enough power to run the tool. And no, you cannot use a drill press with these tools. We do actually recommend a hand drill. And one thing too, just to remember about log furniture is it's not going to be perfect. So if it's a teeny bit off, then that's going to be okay. It adds a little character. People are not expecting, it's rustic furniture. So one thing to do is practice as well. The more you practice, the easier it will become. But really, it doesn't take a whole lot of skill by any means to be able to run these tools. If you're just jumping on, make sure you're commenting below where you're from. We are giving away one of our beginners kits in the commercial series, and that you can create almost any project with that particular kit.
Yep. Got some more tenons to cut. Always start with your tool against your material, and make sure to lean so you're applying constant pressure. Cutting right at the actual material capacity, and that's why this drill's struggling. But we're going to finish this tenon, so just hang tight. Sometimes that'll happen when you're cutting right at material capacity. And one thing to know is that if you want to make it easier, you can actually remove one of your blades. So you'll still be cutting with one, but if you remove half your blades, it's going to greatly reduce the torque on your drill, but it's going to take a little bit longer to cut as well.
Anthony is wondering if it will drill through oak or hardwood.
Yep, it will, Anthony, but you got to make sure that the drill is the big factor. You need a powerful drill. And,
yes.
In a lot of cases, maybe we'll show you today, but Milwaukee makes a model a 3/4 inch called the 1854, and we'll actually use that for material this size and up.
So our tools do work on any type of wood. That is one of the great things about them. Just the way that it functions and how quickly it cuts will make a little bit of a difference, but you can use any type of wood.
We got one more 2-inch tenon to cut, and then we'll drill some Mortise holes. And make sure to keep asking any questions, and we'll be glad to answer them.
Mike, we do have a list on our website of places that we recommend to get wood. If you're interested, it's in the help section, and we have a lot of different suggestions for people. You can replace the blades over time. Oftentimes you can get close to 1,000 cuts before you do need to replace or resharpen them, but you can resharpen them as well.
Yeah. So all right, we got another. We'll see how this log goes. It might be a little struggle again, but we'll form our tenon. So always start against your material and apply constant pressure. Oh, you know what I gotta do? I gotta get a draw knife quick, and we're gonna taper it, because this, I can tell it actually stopped. We're just a little bit outside capacity.
So this is a good example of if you do have material larger than the maximum log capacity. What Logan is going to do is he's going to taper down the end of this with a draw knife, and you can do that. It's a little bit more work, but if you happen to have logs that have, like this one has a couple knots, and that's why it's larger in this particular part, because no log is going to be perfectly round or the same diameter the entire way through.
Yeah, so this is just a good example to see if you run into this problem. I'm just gonna shade down so that the tool can fit around this. So.
And that's one thing that you can do as well if your drill is having a hard time cutting, is taper down the end of the log with the draw knife. Hold on, I'm gonna step on the table so it's not moving for him.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's a group effort.
Yep. All right. Let's give that a try. That looks like it's pretty close.
Good luck with those knots, someone said. Yeah, it's a little bit of a workout sometimes, but
We'll get it. Oh, just a little more.
Ken, yes, we do sell the draw knife. It's USA made, just like many of our other tools. Well, not many of our tools. All of our tools are USA made. So it's a premium draw knife, 10-inch, and it works great. All of our tools are made to last a lifetime. We really value USA made tools and supporting local jobs as well. So we definitely, our tools aren't the cheapest, but they are quality, and we do offer a lifetime warranty on our tenon cutters because we stand behind our products for sure. So is there a single blade in your tool? Our tenon cutters are dual blade, so there's one on each side. That's one of the things that makes us unique compared to some of our competitors. If you're just jumping on, make sure you comment below where you are from. We are giving away one of our commercial beginners kits. That's the 1.5-inch commercial tenon cutter, Forstner bit, and the 20-piece plan booklet, which has these blueprints in there. You can build almost anything with that. Craig is wondering, the plug that you put in, does it stay in okay or does it fall out?
Craig, good question. The plug itself actually will stay in. Like you're not going to be able to knock it out. Generally, what I'll do to remove it is take just a drill bit with a screw and use the screw to pull it out. Yep, so now we got to drill some Mortise holes in these lights, and they are all going to require an 1.5 inch hole. So for this, I'm going to use a self-feed bit, and I've already went ahead. We need our hole depth to be approximately 1.5 inches. So I have a piece of masking tape there just to help me see as I'm drilling.
Are they corrosion protected cutters?
The tools themselves, it's powder coated aluminum. Now the blades are a high carbon steel, so your blades, they will oxidize if you don't coat them with an oil or some sort of protection. But the tools themselves are corrosion resistant.
Brian says your tools are great and best customer service ever. Well, thank you so much. We really, again, value U.S. jobs and great customer service. So you will never get a robot when you call. It's always one of us that will answer.
Yep. Now I'm just marking my hole at 6 inches, and I'm just doing my best to visually see the center.
And again, if it's not completely perfect, that isn't going to be the end of the world.
Yeah. And so now, kind of like cutting your tenons, make sure that your drill, you're not leaning any one direction or your hole's going to be off. So just do your best before drilling to make sure you're straight. It's that easy. These self-feed bits really make it slick. You can do the same with a Forstner bit, but because of the screw tip on the self-feed bit, it takes away all the work from you, and the drill does it.
Right, it helps pull the bit into the wood for you, which is super beneficial. And it's great, especially if you're drilling at an angle, because it will help keep that bit in place for you.
Just give it a little tap to knock out any sawdust. We're halfway there with the legs. Got 2 more holes to make, and we got some more tenons to cut. But I like to start these legs. I consider the hardest part of this project. I personally just like to start with what's going to take the most time and the most effort, and get that out of the way first. I'm going to spin this log so I don't drill into that.
If you are just jumping on, make sure you're commenting below where you're from to be entered to win our commercial beginners kit. And then if you have other questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. The clamp holding the wood, Lee, is our log lock. And you can find all of that on our website, lumberjacktools.com. Also, we have a VIP group on our Facebook that you are all welcome to join. The really cool part about that is you can post your photos, ask questions, because a lot of people in the group do this on a regular basis. So there's some amazing tips. In fact, we learn continually from people, because while we make the tools and have built log furniture, people just come at it from totally different angles, and sometimes we'll get some tips in there that we had never thought of, or projects. It's really amazing to see how creative people are.
Yeah, just a great resource, and there's no fees or nothing. All you got to do is request to join the group.
Oh, Philip is saying he loves the wood burning template I have been using for our wood burning art. Yes, that our burn stencils are very popular to add a little bit of character to your projects.
All right, so our legs are now done. We'll move on. We got to make the cross supports, and then we'll cut the last few pieces.
I should mention also that if you have a lot of logs that are over capacity or close to over capacity and need a 2-inch tenon, We do offer an industrial series extra large 2-inch, and that one can take up to a 6.5-inch log, so you wouldn't have to press as hard. Now, typically you're not getting that close to max material size, but if you did have a project, then that would be worth investing in because it would just be a lot less strain. The wood burning stencils are on our website as well. You can find all of the things that you're going to see today and all of our accessories on lumberjacktools.com. Or you can always call too. We also have a catalog, but the most up-to-date information and the newest stencils and sales are going to be on our website. We do sell the self-feed bits. Right now, a lot of them are out of stock. We're waiting to get more back in. We've just had so many sales lately, which is amazing. We appreciate all of our customers so much. We're a small business, so every single one matters a lot to us.
Oh yeah. And it seems like there's been an uptick. Some popular YouTube channels we've been fortunate that they've used our tools, and it seems to really be increasing awareness. So now same thing, we're going to cut 1.5 inch tenon, and I went ahead and made a plug that's going to help it so that these tenons that I cut are only 1.5 inch long, which is what we require.
And Logan was mentioning for the plugs, he likes to use a specific type of wood just because it doesn't, here, I'll let you explain it a little better than me.
Yeah, these plugs, I went ahead and I made them out of maple. I like maple a little bit better. The wood structure itself, it doesn't tend to splinter and tear as much. So that was my reason for choosing maple. Yeah, so we have our plug installed. We're going to cut both sides of this piece of material, and then we got to drill some holes in it. Make sure you're level so your tenon is straight. Oh, geez. Tool's a little loose.
So this is a good example too. You'll see much better on this how our tenon cutters typically cut, because we're not close to that max material size on this one. So as you can see, it's really fast. Jack, I can't remember exactly what our kit is on sale right now, but all of that you can find on our website. Sheldon is wondering if it's better to use dry or green logs. You can use either one. Green logs are going to be easier to cut and a cleaner cut. But as far as assembly, you need to make sure that you usually assemble them right away so that they dry together. Yeah. Otherwise, you might have a difficult time getting the tenons into the mortise holes after.
Yep, exactly.
The beginner's kit, Craig, comes with a 1.5 inch tenon cutter, the Forstner bit, and then the 20-piece plan booklet. And if you're just jumping on, comment where you're from, and you will be entered to win one of those.
Always wait for your tool to come to a stop before you remove it. That's another tip.
We do sell replacement blades. They're normally $19.99, but I believe they're on sale for $14.99 right now. And then Philip was wondering, when you made your plug, what tool did you use?
I used the same tool actually, Philip. I cut 1.5 inch tenon with this cutter, and then I went off of that tenon length and I measured about 1.5 inches. It was actually 1.4 inches is what the plug length is. So you use your same tool to make your plug. And also, if you didn't know, you can make rolling pins out of
Let's see, Craig, lumberjacktools.com. And you should be able to locate that from our Facebook page as well. But that is where you can find all of our tools, tons of information. We have a YouTube channel as well. Obviously our Facebook page. All of that has a lot of information for you.
Got a couple
you can see how fast it typically goes if you don't have, like Logan has said, if it's not at that max material size, it's really, really a quick process. If you're just jumping on, make sure you comment below to be entered to win our commercial beginners kit. We are wondering where you're from, so comment where you're from. Ask any questions that you have, and we will be happy to try and answer them for you. Otherwise, you can also visit our website, lumberjacktools.com. We don't sell logs, Jack, but we do have a list of resources of places we recommend where you can get them locally, or KA Log Furniture actually sells logs, and they're out of North or South Dakota?
I think it's Aberdeen,
South Dakota, yes, yes.
All right. There we go.
So we've said before, it's basically like a giant pencil sharpener.
So now I've got to drill 4 more mortise holes. And these holes, let me see.
We don't sell the drill right now, Lee, but you can get that online. I believe Amazon has it right now.
Yep, Amazon and Home Depot should have them available too.
But having the right drill is extremely important to the success of your project, especially with the larger tenon cutters. The smaller ones, like the 1/2 inch or the 3/4 inch, you can get away with a smaller drill, but those bigger ones, if you don't have enough power to run it, it's going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible.
Yep.
Some people mistake that the blades aren't sharp enough. So they think that that's the issue if it's not cutting, but it's almost always because the drill just isn't powerful enough to run. Would this work on exterior build projects like porch rails? Absolutely. People use it for outdoor projects all the time. If you join our VIP group or look on our Facebook albums, you can see a lot of our customer projects. So people use it for railings, decks, stairs, different things like that. We've seen baby swings, cribs, chairs, tables, bar stools. It's absolutely incredible what people come up with. The drill is the 1660-6. It's a Milwaukee drill, and you can find that information on our website as well for anyone if you forget after, or give us a call. We'd be happy to help you with any questions too. And again, Logan is using a self-feed bit to drill this hole because it helps pull it into the wood. Roger, I'm not sure about that particular drill. I'd have to look up the specs. Ideally, you want something with high torque, low RPM, single speed.
Yeah, right around 500 RPMs is what we recommend.
And if you didn't see earlier, Logan has a piece of masking tape here on the drill bit so that he can see where to stop when he's drilling. Sometimes it's just the simple things that make our lives a lot easier. We would love to see the art that you did, Philip, with our stencil. I don't know if you're part of the VIP group, but definitely join if you are not. People post in there all the time, just really cool projects, tips, ideas. People ask questions in there. And you are all the experts, honestly. It's people that build the log furniture every day that have a lot more expertise and experience in that particular part than we do.
Yep.
So one thing too is our plan booklet has very detailed specs. You see Logan's marking a lot of things. So this comes with all of our kits, but it basically shows you what you need to do and the measurements to make it easier for you to build your log furniture projects.
Yeah, we give the material diameters that your project should be and the lengths, and it's all right there. One more hole. And it's actually okay if your hole that the tenon goes into, if the hole is deeper than the tenon itself. Notably for outdoor projects, because you want that little bit of breathing space between the bottom of your hole and the tenon, so that it can account for any movement of your materials outdoors. It's going to most likely attract humidity. So just another little tip.
If you're just jumping on, make sure you're commenting below where you're from. We are going to be giving away a commercial beginner's kit to someone who comments today. And if you have questions, feel free to drop them below and we'd be happy to try and answer them for you. Otherwise, lumberjacktools.com has a ton of great information, or you can always call us and we'd be happy to answer questions for you. You always get a live person. Oftentimes it's even one of us, so.
Getting close. Just for fun, let's do some, I'll do it up here on the table. I can always do some test fitting. So this should just, that's a pretty good fit. It's just a little loose, so loose enough that you'll be able to get glue in your joint. Yeah.
So do you have tips on assembly and gluing, Logan?
Yeah, I guess always it never hurts to just always be doing tests, so before you do your final project you're not messing up a good piece of material. So I always like to, before even starting a project like this, I'll cut several tenons just with some scrap wood and drill mortise holes to make sure you're warmed up so you do a good job.
And we do recommend assembling pretty quickly after you've cut the tenons, just so that you don't have to worry about the wood expanding or contracting and then not fitting in the mortise holes, because that can happen depending on where you live with the humidity, with how green or dry the wood is. Those different factors can make a big difference. Really, that assembled pretty easily.
Now I just got to make some cross supports, and we got the material right here for it. One tip, if you notice, it's a little hard to fit together, which isn't necessarily wrong. Tight fits are a good fit. Use a piece of wood, or I like to use a rubber mallet. Now lastly, we're going to drill some 1-inch tenons with our 1-inch cutter, and I have a 1-inch plug that's going to give us the right tenon length.
For those just jumping on, make sure you're commenting below where you're watching from, and you can be entered to win one of our commercial beginners kits, which includes the 1.5-inch commercial tenon cutter, a Forstner bit, and our 20-piece plan booklet, which has blueprints for how to build different log furniture plans, including our easy plan end table, which is what we're drawing, or excuse me, what we're doing today. So we're basically recreating this for the top that we already have over here. And we've already gotten pretty far. For finishing the wood, it really depends on if you want to have it outside or inside. And also if you want to use a stain or just a clear poly. to change the color of the wood at all.
Yeah, like outdoor furniture, a lot of times you're better off doing like a tung oil finish or some type of linseed oil and oil, because like any sort of lacquer or polyurethane is going to dry and crack over time outdoors. It's fine inside, but outside I'd really stick with an oil finish.
Craig, if you just comment here, you'll be entered to win on the giveaway. There isn't any form on the website that you have to fill out.
So I'm just waiting for that to stop.
So that was extremely fast.
Yep, not a lot of material on that one to remove.
So this is a good example, though. You can see the difference between something that's at max material capacity at the beginning of this video, which we will repost, or something that's a smaller piece of material, how quickly it cuts. So some of the things just to be aware of, that neither one is wrong or right, but it can vary depending on the wood, depending on the size of the material. A lot of those factors can make a difference in how quickly it cuts.
Yeah.
So super fast.
Yep. We just got to make one more, and then this project's almost done. We did cheat though, because I didn't have to make the top. That was already supplied, so it would take you a little bit longer to make those.
But the top part wouldn't be terrible, because it's basically just a thick slab of wood, and then there's mortise holes drilled in here, which these are the 2-inch for the legs.
Yep.
The logs, you can get logs sometimes for free depending on where you live. So it just depends. Sometimes people have material in their backyard. They have neighbors, forestry department, the tree service people. There's a lot of different ways you can get logs.
Oh, yeah. And it's easy to tell when you're done cutting, because as you're using the tool, you'll feel it come to a stop, and you're not going to push it anymore. Here's the last tenon. Anybody have any fun Easter plans for the weekend? I'm still getting my garden ready.
Yeah, it takes longer to clamp down the log sometimes than it does to cut it, so it goes really fast. But that's the other thing that's really nice about the log lock, is it's a quick release, so it doesn't take a super long time to lock the log down.
Yeah. So we'll do a test fit, and then if everything fits together fine, we'll try putting it on the tabletop. A little space. One thing I like to use, I didn't cover in this video, but if you're going to drill multiple mortise holes in a line, say you're making a railing on a fence or for a deck, I like to use a chalk line, and I'll actually pull my chalk line out to both ends of your material and snap a line, so that way every hole is on that same center line. Just an easy tip, use a chalk line.
And one thing Logan showed too is you want to try and make sure that you're on a part of the log that has a lot of flat areas, so that you're not drilling into a knot that can be extremely difficult. I don't know, there's some places that sell lumber, but otherwise people have used landscape timbers too from, it's a less rustic look, but you can use them.
Let's see how good this lines up.
Donovan, you can use any type of wood. It just depends on what's local to you. That's what a lot of people end up using. They just use whatever is local to them.
Sometimes you just gotta manhandle it a little bit, or woman handle.
Yeah, it doesn't make it, it's not always easy, but Sometimes this part's easier to do with 2 people.
That's true, but I think I can. Yep, so that's going to fit. So let's put it on the top. See how it looks. So
If you're just jumping on, make sure you comment below where you're watching from, and we will draw a name to win this commercial beginner's kit. So we've been compared to Tinker Toys. I don't know if anyone remembers those, but that's basically the same concept. Ratchet straps work, someone said, Ramon said.
Yep, good job. That's a good one, Ramon.
And oftentimes that's good to use when after you've glued it as well to help hold it in place.
Yep, so.
And this might be a little bit more difficult because the top is older. We are using a top that hasn't had recent mortise holes drilled into it, so.
It's just a little bit off, folks. I think I drilled one hole crooked, and I believe that's why this isn't lining up, because as you can see, my leg right here is just a little off. But an easy solution is to make a different top. This I tried to create legs for a top that was already made, but I guarantee we could make a top for this and it would fit just fine. But to show you the finished product, I'll the finished one.
Yeah, this is again too a good example of why it's important to do the assembly all at the same time. Because this is an older top, the mortise holes have probably shrunk a little bit, and it just makes a little bit of a difference too. But you could see before when Logan assembled this that this works with itself, but just the top is an older top, so.
Yeah, it wasn't quite lined up for those holes, but this frame itself maybe we'll do that in a future video. I'll make
there you go.
There. So it is complete, and just to show you, it would just sit on top like that and theoretically fit in there.
And this is the original one that was made with it, so that kind of shows the difference.
Yeah. And that just it fits right in there. So, does anybody else have any questions today?
Yeah, if you have any questions, any further questions, feel free to comment them below. Otherwise, make sure you comment where you're from, and we'll draw someone to win that beginner's kit. But basically, this was just a demonstration of how our tools work. How tall is that workbench?
This workbench, I believe, is 30 inches. Let me check.
Oops, excuse me.
29 inches, whoever asked.
So it's important to have a workbench that's at a good height for you, because if you're leaning down or if it's too high, then it's going to be extremely difficult for you to work that drill. But that's one nice thing about the log lock too, is it mounts to any workbench, so you can change where you have it.
Yep, we just have it with leg screws, so it's easy. You can move it within minutes.
Or you can take it to a work site if you need to. So Yeah, well, that's it. And we will hopefully do another live video soon. But thank you so much. If you have any further questions, feel free to visit our website, lumberjacktools.com, or you can give us a call. Thank you.